Hello, friends, and welcome to Theme Party, the podcast. I'm your party host, Merete Mohs. In case this is your first time listening to a TPTP episode, here is what we're doing. Every season, I pick a theme, and our team comes up with their own ideas for an audio drama that somehow fits that theme, even if it only fits if you ignore what the 1 out of 10 dentist actually recommends. Once they have made their episode, I invite them to talk about it. I am thrilled to be here with my party guest, Jada Mendoza. Jada is a person trying to do her best. She is a writer, a voice actor, and just generally a storyteller trying to make her way. Given the chance, she would do storytelling for the rest of her life. Jada, please say hello.
Hello.
So as part of every single episode so far for our interviews, I have been describing what kind of party I think my guests are. Jada, for you, I think because of the storytelling element, I think you would be a murder mystery party.
Ooh.
No real murders involved. Again, because of the storytelling element, and I know how much storytelling has to do with your whole life. The elements of trying to parse out motivations for each character, filling in their backstory, hinting to the audience about your love of fan fiction. I feel like that would be a big element of trying to solve the mystery before the end of the party. Do you agree that this would be your kind of party or not?
I agree. I've never been to a murder mystery party.
You must.
I should. But I've been listening to the other episodes and I was trying to think in my head of like what party I thought I would be. And in my head, I was like, maybe a book club meeting or something like that.
Okay, that was my first thought. And I was like, that feels not wrong, but I don't think it's quite on the nose, in my opinion, for what I would assume would be your personality. Because I feel like sitting around talking about a book, maybe having a glass of wine or something, sure, that's fine. That's a good time. But knowing how much you're into fandom and how much you like coming up with details of characters and just story building, having a story to build off of reminds me more of you as a person than just sitting and talking about somebody else's story. You know what I mean?
No, that makes a lot of sense. The reason why I said book club or something to that effect is because I love discussing media and one of my favorite things to do with friends is if we're companion reading or if we go to watch a movie or something, I love going somewhere to eat after and talking about what we just experienced together.
Totally.
Yeah. Whenever we get together for a movie, me and my friend Melissa.
Hi, Melissa.
We love to talk about the movie afterwards, whatever movie we saw. I think one of my favorite conversations was one that we had after watching the second Sonic the Hedgehog movie.
I've seen it. My kids love those Sonic the Hedgehog movies, so I've seen them.
They're good.
Yeah, they are. It feels very much like it scratches an itch that those of us who grew up loving Ace Ventura, because it's got the Jim Carrey in it, kind of with a similar character profile that he has done for some of his more wacky movies, and it's good.
But I kin with the idea of the murder mystery party thing because I think I'm addicted to story building because it's something that I just do in my spare time with my sister. Like me and my sister will play a game recently doing is just like making original characters in The Sims, and we have all of these groups of characters and they all interact with each other, and then they all have their own backstories and personal histories, and we made like our own like Wikipedia document essentially of like everything they have going on, and now they all have kids. This took place over a couple of months, but we're still developing the story. Now we're in like the second generation lineage of the characters, so that makes a lot of sense. I love story building.
I will confess that the only sim game that I have played was the Sim City back in like, what was that, the 90s? So I'm not super, like I'm familiar with the sim games enough that I get it. But I don't know, do you have to do anything beyond like introduce the characters and give them a place to interact in? Like how much are you directing what is happening to the Sims versus them just interacting with each other?
It's not a lot, actually. I think the good thing about playing a game like The Sims and building your own story world in a game like The Sims is the fact that spontaneous things will happen without you manipulating that much. And then oftentimes we let these things happen and I will incorporate them into the canon lore of the world. So you may expect or you may want two specific characters to want to get together, but then they'll interact with another character and you'll realize, wait, the dynamic is better, or you like these two characters and how they look together better than what you intended. And I think that's a good practice to have, like, let the story unfold as you create it rather than trying to dictate too much on your original ideas. So
Gotcha.
basically, I'm saying you should use The Sims to make your own stories.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, it's the same thing as like in actual play D&D campaigns where the dice will often dictate what happens in the story, right? That element of randomness gives like the story a very specific flavor, or it adds like a perspective that you wouldn't have expected.
Are you planning to do anything with the storylines you're developing in The Sims? Or is it just like, I'm just watching the Petri dish and then whatever comes out of it, comes out of it?
I do plan on like writing these things out, but not for profit was the first phrase that came to mind. No, it's mostly for my own enjoyment, just because I feel that I have been writing a lot and like putting it out into the world versus writing for myself, which is what I used to do as a kid a lot of the time. And that kind of goes back into like my fan fiction writer background, I suppose. I think for now it's just for me. And then if I decide later on that I want to put it out into the world, then I will. But right now it's just a me and my sister thing.
Gotcha.
So, yeah.
All right. I love the collaboration behind that, too. That sounds like a really fun sister activity.
Yeah, I'm basically the writer, and she does all of, like, the art and, like, stuff in Blender. Like, she'll pose the characters from The Sims in Blender, and she'll make pictures and stuff like that.
Wow.
We want to make our own compendium for these characters, essentially. But yeah, that'll just be for us.
Sure. I love that. Oh, that's going to be so fun as you guys get older and stuff and like can share it with more people. That's cute.
Yeah.
Moving along, the theme for this season is family traditions. Did your story fit the theme?
I think so.
Yay! Yeah, I think it did.
Interestingly enough, when I hopped onto the show and you presented this idea of like the theme is family traditions, I didn't have a idea like set in my mind to write. I think I just went to an open Google Doc and I was like, let's write some ideas on what I could potentially do. And I knew that I wanted to do a fantasy story because at the time I was reading a very famous fairy book series that a lot of people on Book Talk were talking about. And I wanted to put my own spin on that genre. And so I was like, how could I make this about family traditions? What if I did a parent-child strained relationship? And through that, I kind of came up with this idea of, okay, there's like a lineage of monster hunters, and this parent and this child don't necessarily see eye to eye. I ended up injecting a little bit of my own parental experience into it. Not that I had like an exceedingly horrible relationship with my parents, but I think as we grow up and we sprout into adolescence, so to speak, there's a lot of things that can happen between you and a parent. I wanted to sort of offload it a little bit because when you write something, the writer's experience is like, oh, write what you know.
Just planting that seed and embellishing it a little bit and then processing whatever comes from that. Well, I like how you incorporated your own, I don't know if you could call it traditions. I suppose it is kind of a tradition for parents and their kids to have like some strain in the relationship at least some point as people grow up.
Mm-hmm. I feel like in the episode, the family tradition, so to speak, is the passing down of the role of being a monster hunter.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of a jamming together of jigsaw puzzle pieces, but it's more of a familial expectation rather than a familial tradition,
Sure.
even though you can kind of lump the two in the same Venn diagram.
And I do.
Yeah. So it works, basically, is what we're saying.
Yep. Don't question it too hard.
Yeah.
On that note, could you please read us your logline and your tagline? Oh, before we get into that, your episode title is Monster Fucker, and I will be bleeping it out every time we say it.
Okay.
For the interview,
Sure.
just so more people can listen to it.
Yeah.
This is our first episode of the podcast that has so much adult language in it, and that is fine.
Sorry.
No. We're not exclusively a kids show, and we put the warnings on there and everything, so it's fine. And I just am curious to know from our audience what they thought of that, and if it added to the story in people's opinions, or if it was not a big deal at all, or because I know that we talked about it a little bit, but it was kind of one of those for us that maybe use adult language every day in our lives. It's not that big of a deal, but I don't know how other people feel about it. So I'd be curious.
Yeah, I think I'd be curious about it as well, mostly because before the episode actually released, I was wondering, is what I've put in the script too much? Is the title too much? But I think at the time when we did have those conversations, I was very firm about the title because of how, I guess, important, the word is to the lore of the story. Like
the impact of that harsh of a word being involved in the title, yeah.
Yeah. And just the idea of like, you're a monster fucker, like it conveys the sort of social history of the greater story of the piece. Yeah. It also is like a very shock value title, I suppose.
Yeah, it's basically a slur, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. So I think it's only acceptable in this case because it's not a real slur in the real world.
Yeah.
Right.
And you do use the word quite a few more times throughout the episode. I mean, not in the slur context, rather.
To your point also, everybody swears every day. It's either that or I have the mouth of a sailor, apparently. Like, well, the word is used as, an emphasis indicator. I don't know. I hope people are okay with it.
I would be surprised if too many people were completely turned off by the use of it, but I also have the mouth of a sailor, so maybe I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what the numbers say, I guess.
Yeah.
People are free to download and listen if they want to, but I hope they do all the same. Yeah. Could you please read us your logline and your tagline?
My mother, my monster, and me, and a prejudiced monster hunter sets out to stop her rebellious daughter's elopement with her monster boyfriend.
Very nice. Jada's roles in making Monster Fucker include writer, assistant director, casting director, production coordinator, producer, and voice actor. Let's listen to a sample of your episode.
I wouldn't be surprised if that's where she was headed next. I can point you in the right direction. For a price.
You're sure?
On my parents' graves.
I kind of ship them.
Fiona!
What? They're kind of made for each other. Two rogues led astray by their graying morals. Maybe they'd be good for each other.
That's not what this story's about.
Whatever. Anyway, you were saying? She's been a single mom raising her daughter for over 20 years. She's touch-starved.
Fiona!
What? A little drama never hurt anyone.
Anyway, the interaction didn't end the way you would think.
Amelia! I'm okay. I just need a moment.
No, you're not. You've been in this form since graduation this morning and you're anxious. It's making it worse. Just be yourself, please. You shouldn't have to do this.
Amelia, get away from that thing.
Mom, I've been lying to you. Garrett isn't my boyfriend.
Amelia!
Are you sure you want to do this?
Please, Zoe.
A demon! I knew it! How did you choose the names of your characters? And did you try doing it another way that didn't work for you?
Because I identify as a writer, I love coming up with names for my characters. And I have in my phone a list of character names that I like that I will use for games or stories or whatever I feel. Since, they're human names, I can usually come up with some on the spot. But for the demon folk names, I remember I was having trouble with it because it's not something that I normally do or something that I would normally think about. So I did use one of those like fantasy name generators.
I can't imagine you've got a Zolgirith logged in your in your document.
No,
somewhere.
Of course not. But yeah, I love coming up with names for my characters. I feel like I gravitate towards names that end with an sound because it's like Gemma, Amelia, Fiona. I don't know if that's like a familial naming convention that they do, but it just ended up being that way.
How about, I know as we were going through you writing your story, I got really stuck on Trevor Stabbington.
Yeah.
The, no spoilers, but the assassin sent to kill Gemma.
Yeah.
Was Stabbington just calling to you as the name of the who doesn't even stab anybody, by the way?
Right, yeah. I mean, if you think about it, the bad guys are named very literally. I think Ernest Goodman is one of the ones that I really wanted to use just because...
First and last name.
Yeah. First of all, the fact that he's a con man and his front name is like Ernest Goodman is really funny to me. There's like sort of a double meaning thing going on there. Mm-hmm. But Trevor Stabbington, I kind of just liked. And I did kind of take it from somewhere.
Oh.
In Tangled, there's 2 twin thieves in that movie. And I think somewhere I read, because I do have the art book for Tangled, I think their last name is Stabbington, or they're considered the Stabbington brothers. So,
really?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Don't sue us, Disney.
Yes, hopefully not. But yeah, when the name for an assassin came up, I was just like, it would be really funny if his name was something very standard like Trevor and his last name was Stabbington. And I think everybody in production really loved that because I kept hearing comments about it as we included more people. And Tyler, who plays Trevor Stabbington, I think he got a good kick out of that.
Yeah, Tyler did an excellent job as Trevor Stabbington,
really
for sure.
Good, yeah.
Could you please tell us which character you most identified with and why? Or alternatively, as you were making your episode, did you have someone or something specific in mind as inspiration for a character?
I definitely identify most with Amelia. I think Amelia is the character that I based most off of my experience growing up and feeling sort of like a black sheep, wanting to do something creative with my career. So I definitely relate to her, but I also relate a lot to Fiona, who is the character that I play, mostly because I based Fiona off of myself as a teenager. And I think that's evident in the fact that she ships these 2 characters, the 2 bad guys together, which is something that I still do to this day, even as a 27-year-old. Yeah. But I think there's an aspect of Fiona that I hope people caught up on. But when I was a teenager, and I think this is a common experience that everybody has, but when you're a teenager, you think you know everything and you think you're right and you think you're maybe a little bit morally above everybody else. And so, she speaks her mind about the politics of the situation with the statue of her grandmother. And she learns to better understand people and to dig deeper and be a little bit more empathetic and give people the benefit of the doubt before judging people super harshly. And I think that's a lesson that I've learned as I've grown up and grown into my late 20s. So yeah, Amelia and Fiona are the 2 that I most relate to.
Yeah, Fiona starts out with a little bit of that do your own research energy at the beginning of the episode.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is something that I also always do. I love reading Wikipedia.
Yeah. Since you identify most with Amelia out of the two currently, what was it about her that you felt mostly mirrored your experience?
I think coming to an understanding of who her mother was as a person and sort of taking the energy and the time to sort of emotionally understand her mother a little bit better, because obviously at the beginning of the episode Gemma is very prejudiced towards these people, and I think if you grow up with your parent and sort of butting heads a little bit politically there's going to be some disagreement there, but also it was important for me at the end of the episode, the second episode, for her to reconcile with her mother and sort of accept her and readopt her, especially since there's this huge confrontation where she's like, oh, I wish you were dead. Like she tries to kill her in effect, but can't do it. I really wanted her to come back and sort of say, no, I'm not getting rid of you. I still want you to be a part of my life. It's something that has been really important for me moving into adulthood, is realizing, oh, I am not my parent and I don't have to make the same choices. And, you know, I don't have to live my life by a rubric of societal expectations or parental expectations or anybody else. And of course, I'm still working through that. I'm still, you know, you struggle with things and progress is not linear and all of that sort of stuff. But it's been important to me to be like, even if we may have different opinions, we're still a family and I still love you very much, right? It's a complicated thing.
Yeah, I have found as I get older that I had the expectation as a younger person that older people know things, and eventually someday I will unlock whatever it is that adulthood has in store for the youth, that I'm going to know how to pay my taxes. I'm going to know how to fix my car and things like that, but also emotionally speaking too. And I don't know when that happens. It feels similar to having a kid and you just get to go home with the kid and it doesn't come with a manual. It's like, I'm sorry, I thought there were going to be instructions at this point. When are those coming?
Absolutely.
So...
yeah. Actually, I'm going to flip the script. I want to pose a question to you.
Oh, no.
Because you, in effect, are the main character of the two episodes.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask, how was it for you playing this character who is a mother but also doesn't make very good choices? Like, how was the experience of acting that out and getting into character and all of that stuff?
I will say that it was really hard to say some of those things because I could never imagine having that kind of an interaction with my kids to that extreme. However, I do try to be aware of minor versions of that in my interactions with my kids. So I have one child who is just very naturally gifted at school. I don't really have to do much for them. They do their own homework without being prodded. They get good grades. Like, I know they're very responsible at their age. And the other one is a bit of a fibber sometimes and will stretch the truth in order to be done with a task that they don't want to do. And they've just got some bad habits that we're working through and trying to give them better habits to help serve them later on in life. And working through that is a constant struggle to continue to use kind language and not like make what voice I am using now be on repeat in their head as they get older. But also, I'm also human. I get frustrated with things and I can only have a conversation about washing your hands in the year of our Lord 2025 so many times without being like, you're this age now. How are we still having to remind you that it is important to wash your hands thoroughly? And just like, things like that. Their personality is such that if it is not interesting to them, they have a hard time focusing on it and sticking to it, even if it is important. It is not to the degree at all that Gemma interacts with Amelia at any point in the story, but I think the exaggeration of it in the story is important to kind of see the big blown up version of it. While it is not the same impact, it's to a degree would have similar results over time if it compounded, I think, in real life. So
Yeah.
So just being aware of
Absolutely.
that is a chore.
No, it's something that I have thought about because, as the years go on and I realize, there's a bio clock thing happening for me as, a cis woman, essentially. I think about these things, and I think as I realize that I do want kids, I want to impart this understanding that I have learned with my parents, that it's like, your parents aren't perfect, and a lot of things that they do aren't on purpose. And they are trying their best. And it was really important for me, especially writing the strong female character. It was important for me to have this aspect of depth and have them make mistakes and not have them be the perfect idea of what the character should be. Gemma making mistakes, the most important part of it being the fact that she takes accountability for those mistakes and tries to do better, is really the point of her character arc that I wanted to focus on. And I wanted in the future for Amelia to understand that. I want to celebrate the fact that she turned around, like she did everything that she could to develop understanding for these people who she was prejudiced against, and to offer that kindness to her. Because, I will be mad at my parents for saying specific things or acting in a specific way towards me. But at the end of the day, I do recognize that they are a person, they're human, and they're not some figure of authority.
I mean, there are definitely 100% very valid reasons for people to disregard their parents and cut off ties with their parents and whatnot.
Absolutely.
And I think Amelia probably had a pretty good argument for never wanting to see Gemma again, and probably would have been very justified in disappearing into the vast woods and staying there unbothered.
Yeah.
But I do like the dynamic of Fiona kind of being exactly what you said, the teenage version of Amelia also, and kind of sticking and needling on the points of like, but see how bad she was. Why are we okay with this? And it's like, well, people are people. Monsters are monsters, and people are people.
Yeah, absolutely.
And sometimes people are monsters.
Absolutely. Who's the real monster at the end of the day? And I think this is becoming a very long answer, but I will say the reason why I wanted that reconciliation at the end, because I think there is a trope in literature and TV and other media of a main character parting with their mother in some way, and that's the only way that they can be their own person. And I sort of wanted to subvert that trope that I knew about and sort of, have the mother still be there, have them be a part of their story still. So there is some element of that in there, I hope.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
All right. Well, now that we've had our therapy session for the middle of the episode, what was your biggest challenge or obstacle with making this episode? Was it working through just like the emotional side of it, or was it puzzling through the logistics of how to make the story work? Or
I think it's a little bit of both. I think as a person who's been writing for a long time, I do have a love-hate relationship with the writing process because it is so difficult. And obviously, channeling those emotions and like writing them and trying to convey them with themes and characters and setting and all of that stuff is really difficult. But the logistical process of production is something that I was very scared of at the beginning of this, because I knew that I wanted to be heavily involved. And that's just generally the process with Theme Party. That's what you take on when you come onto this show. But yeah, it was something that I was afraid of because, wrangling everybody together for live directs is really difficult. The scheduling is really hard.
Yep. Especially with the size of cast that you had and the scenes that had so many characters in them sometimes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. When I released the cast list, I was like, oh no, what have I done? The fact that the episode is 2 parts, I think, also speaks to that. But yeah, it was difficult.
Since we wanted to keep the episodes as close to 20 minutes as possible, like we did toy with the idea of releasing it as one. I think splitting it in 2 added some intrigue and extended our season a little bit more, and I like it. I think it's fun.
Yeah, I also like it. I like where we ended off in the first part. That cliffhanger is really good. I was like, wow, good job, me. I wrote something that was...
Agreed. Yeah, I like that splitting it into two made you come up with a creative solution for like, how am I going to make people want to come back to listen to the second half of this rather than just like, here's the middle, chop,
Yeah. And obviously, like, that was more of something that I had to tackle with after the fact. I wrote the whole thing as essentially one feature-length script, I guess. And then it just so happened that, there's like a natural endpoint where it is, like where the divide is now in the episode. So yeah, I just got lucky. There's a lot of cases with the logistics of the production where I got really lucky. I feel very lucky with the cast that I got. And I did write to specific actors within Lengthy Tangent because we have a great roster of people that we work with.
We do have a great roster of people that we work with.
Yeah. And I'm also really thankful to Henry, who is the director of the 2 episodes, because there was kind of a logistical issue with the original roster of production roles, and Henry ended up taking on like 2 huge episodes. And he was also like a nice guiding light with trying to talk to people about scheduling, getting people last minute to do live directs and stuff like that. So I'm very thankful to Henry for helping me with this process.
Yeah, Henry has been incredible for the group in just mentoring people through different parts of production, specifically directing, but in other aspects too. He's got a good ear for acting. He has a good ear for like marketing and things like that. So Henry is an invaluable resource, and we love him.
Yeah, so. He plays Jeeves, and he's so good Jeeves. As Jeeves.
He has some wild characters in his back pocket, and I would love to do an Oops All Henry episode where he doesn't write it, but we all write characters that we want to hear him do, because he's also an incredible storyteller and an incredible writer in his own right. But I think he's so good at just seeing exactly how a character sounds in his mind and just spitting that out for you to enjoy. And that might be a fun game for us to do in the future.
Yeah, I mean, I will say I originally wrote Ernest Goodman for Henry.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I did write Ernest Goodman for Henry to play, but then I heard Jonathan play Ernest and I was like, oh my gosh, he's really, really good.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Henry, I think he auditioned for Jeeves, and I was like, wait, you give this character a flavor that I didn't even expect. The same with Jamie as King Beast Striker too, because I originally envisioned King Beast Striker as more of a King George from Hamilton character.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I think that was in the original pitch, but Jamie gave Beast Striker a little dirty, nasty little thing that I love.
I think of the word lascivious whenever I listen to that performance. Just like...
Yeah, that's a good word.
Very opposite of Gus in Peculiar Radio.
Yeah, absolutely. And
Even though it's the same guy.
Yeah, his ability to have that range is really incredible. Can we just also like highlight the acting in this? Because first of all, you are amazing.
I'll cut that part out. That's weird to hear. Okay.
No, you can't.
Thank you. I am forcing myself to accept more compliments as they come. Thank you, Jada. I appreciate
that. You should.
Okay.
Yeah, but you brought such an amazing depth to Gemma that I really, really love. And the time at which
makes me so uncomfortable.
The time at which we're recording this interview is part 2 hasn't come out yet, but I'm really, really excited for people to hear what you've done with the character in part 2, because it's a very raw, very vulnerable performance that you've given her. And Caroline as Amelia is just amazing.
Well, now that we're not talking about me, I can gush about Caroline all day, because Caroline is so good at imbuing character. Like, I know I was talking about how good Henry is at just taking a character and running with it. Like, Caroline, when you put out the casting call for somebody who could play a child version a teen version or a young adult version and an adult version of the same character, hoping to get the same actor to do the voice for all the parts. So there was the continuity, and it didn't sound like different characters every time. And Caroline nailed it in her audition. Like, I don't know how people do that.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
I scouted out Caroline because we worked together in Peculiar Radio, like in the writer's room, and I knew she did good work. And I was like, hey, can you try like submitting for this role? And she was like, yes, of course. Thank you for thinking of me. She uploaded her audition and I listened to it and I was like, that's Amelia. Whoa, she is Amelia. So I was just really personally very chuffed at the fact that I was able to scout that out. But yeah, also in part 2, she gets really, really, really raw and aggressive, which is exactly what I wanted.
Yeah. I love that combination of desperate and aggressive at the same time, like just like really wrestling with what is happening in the scene.
Yeah, for sure. She was in it and I cried during that live direct. It was very amazing. So yeah. Yeah. And also Anthony did a really good job too.
Anthony's incredible.
Yeah, I did write Zolgirith with Anthony in mind because in LTM they do the voiceover workouts. And I had been in a voiceover workout with Anthony a really long time ago. And I remember he did a script where he showed a lot of emotionality and vulnerability. And I was like, interesting. And I kept that sort of in the back of my brain. And then when I was writing this, there was a part of me where I was like, I think this is for him. And so, I reached out to him. And of course, he was very kind enough to submit for this. I'm very proud of the casting lineup that we managed to get, even though it is a huge cast.
I think it was worth it, though. It turned out so well.
Yeah.
Good job.
I'm proud of all of my actors, and I'm glad that I was able to act alongside them in a way. So, yeah.
Yeah. I wanted to ask about your decision to use some interspersed modern vernacular with the fantasy speak that was in this episode. To my ear, it sounded like it especially came through the Fiona character. Did you do that intentionally, or is it just your writing style to throw in, like, because especially the word shipped being used, I don't know that appeared in Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Like shipping the two characters, not just like a boat. Sorry, audience.
If you were confused about that, I'm very sorry. It wasn't something that I was consciously thinking of. I think it just ended up coming out in the writing process. Interestingly enough, I looked back at the original Monster documents that I had when I was brainstorming and developing the idea. And that scene between Ernest Goodman and Trevor Stabbington wasn't in the original script.
Oh.
Yeah. I don't know if you remember, but it was in one of the writers' rooms when we were giving back feedback, and somebody was like, where did the assassin go?
Oh, yeah.
Because in the original, King Beaststricker mentions him, and then he comes back all the way at the end to sort of kill Gemma in a way. And we needed a scene where he reappeared and sort of instilled his role in the story. And so I wrote that scene between him and Ernest Goodman. And in my mind, because of the way that the story is framed with Amelia and Fiona sort of metatextually telling the story to the audience, I was like, I do ship them. Even as a writer, I do ship them. And so I wanted to impart that in Fiona's character. And I don't necessarily think of these anachronistic ideas when I'm writing this. I sort of just write to what feels right for the story, what feels correct for the story, and sort of just do whatever that way. But yeah, I don't know. I think when you're writing things, it can be very flexible. You don't really see the rest of what Mortalia has become in the years since the original story takes place. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe they have AO3 or fanfiction.net in there, and this is a common thing, but
yeah, anything
goes. I'm the creator of this world. I could do whatever I want.
That's exactly right. Well, I think it really worked.
Thanks.
Yeah, of course. Jada, in your experience, what has been the biggest hint that it's time to leave or end a party?
When I'm tired. Generally, when I want to go home, I'm like, okay, bye, everybody. I'm leaving. So,
like an Irish goodbye, or like actually, do you take the time to go around and say goodbye to everybody, or do you just like whoever's closest, do you just kind of wave and walk out?
I'm a very introverted person. So I'm not the type of person to like go out and have parties on the regular.
Sure.
When I'm going to an outing, it's usually like a family thing. So in that case, I have to go around and say goodbye. But also in that case, if it's a family thing, I'm usually one of the last people to leave anyway. Especially if it's at a family member's house or something like that. My uncle and my dad, they live next to each other. So I grew up with my cousins living right next door to me.
That's so cool.
Yeah. When I tell people that, they're like, are they okay? What? Is that I don't know. I guess people are like siblings not getting along or something like that.
Oh.
But yeah, for my whole childhood, I've lived next door to my cousins until, they moved out, had their own families and stuff like that. But if I have gone to a party next door, I can usually stay until the point where I'm like, I'm tired, I'm gonna go, and then I take the 5-second walk to my parents' house.
I'm very interested that people ask if everything's okay because of living next to your cousins. It's my understanding that like this is not a universal rule, obviously, but for most people, the cousin relationship is on another level from like siblings because like, they're not your brother and sister. There's that extra element of it. Like you know everything about each other without having to sleep in the same house.
Yeah. And, that's a support system in itself, like having family very close by, literally next door. Mm-hmm. But yeah, when I've said it to people, I think they're usually referring to like my dad and his brother being like, oh is everything okay that they live next door to each other? And I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's fine.
You don't have to buy a house next to your sibling if you're struggling. You can live somewhere else.
Absolutely, yeah.
I would think that would mean it's really good if they chose to live next to each other.
Yeah, and I think mostly the case for it was the fact that my grandma, who is my dad's mother, she would go next door to cook for my uncle's house. Like she would cook their dinner and then she would come back and cook our dinner because, they're all working and doing their own thing. So I think that was more of the logistics behind it. And I think because I'm Filipino, back in the Philippines, you usually live in a neighborhood where all of your family are very close by. So I guess that was the logic behind it. I've always lived next door to my cousins in a way.
If I bought a house next to your dad, would your grandma come and cook dinner for me? Because that sounds like a dream.
I mean, maybe.
Yay.
If you like Filipino food, maybe it would.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
The place that I started working at sells chicken enchilada lumpia there now, and they're so good. We've got a place here in Wisconsin that specialize in lumpia, and we just carry one of their varieties at the shop. And I want to make the pilgrimage to their main location so I can buy more and keep them in my freezer. But it's a bit of a drive to just go pick up food.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But someday I will assemble a team and we will go and stock up on lumpia for sure.
Yeah, that's so interesting. I love when food fusions come out of that just because, there's such a mosaic of people living in the United States and Canada where now these kinds of foods are accessible. Yeah, that's awesome.
What is your favorite Filipino food that your grandma makes?
My grandma doesn't cook that much anymore just because she's like 85 now.
And she deserves a break.
Actually, yeah, of course. Recently, she cooked spaghetti, which is not necessarily...
That's a Filipino food?
Well, there's this thing called Filipino spaghetti. Yeah, it's spaghetti that is normal, except the tomato sauce is a little bit sweeter and it has hot dogs in it. That's basically all that's different about it. I feel like Italian people are like rioting in the streets right now, but it's good. And I grew up eating it.
I would eat it. Having never seen it and having never tasted it, I hope this isn't offensive to say, but it reminds me of like a food that would come from a cookbook that you give to kids to like get them started in the kitchen.
Probably, yeah.
You know, like here, make some spaghetti noodles, put some sauce on there. You can't brown ground beef yet, so why don't you cut up some hot dogs in it?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, like in this version, it still has the ground beef. There's just hot dogs also in it. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I was picturing it incorrectly, obviously. Fascinating. Well,
yeah.
I'll have to see if I can find some of that.
If you have a Jollibee nearby, they sell.
I don't.
Yeah, figures.
I've heard such amazing things about Jollibee. I should find one. I'm not that far from Chicago. Maybe they have one.
Probably.
What would you recommend if I am able to find a Jollibee? What would you recommend I get?
So I would obviously recommend the Filipino spaghetti just because it's something that you gotta try.
Sure.
The fried chicken is always really good at Jollibee.
I love fried chicken.
Yeah. If you're feeling very adventurous, I would recommend that you get palabok. It's like, you know, vermicelli noodles.
Yep.
It's like that. It has like an orange sauce. It has ground pork. And normally when you get it from like a catering thing or if somebody makes it at home, they'll have like hard-boiled eggs in it.
Okay.
But I don't think the Jollibee version does. How do I describe the taste of this actually? It's just good. It's very savory.
What is the orange sauce? Yeah. Maybe that is going to crack this for us.
I actually don't know. I feel like this is a question that I always ask my mom because she knows how to make palabok. But people use like shrimp in it sometimes. There's also maybe annatto seed is probably an ingredient in it, and that's probably what makes it orange.
Sure.
But other than that, it's a mystery to me. I feel like I'm constantly asking this question to my parents about like, what's in palabok? Why is it orange?
I'm going to have to. I am an adventurous eater, so I would definitely give that a try.
Yeah, it's good.
Okay. Well, I will keep an eye out for a Jollibee. Maybe Jollibee would very kindly put one here where I am, so I don't have to go chase one down. Thank you.
This is a campaign.
This is now a campaign. I am asking you once again to put a Jollibee in my neighborhood. Thank you.
We'll get a petition together.
Thank you.
Something is going to happen.
I'll pass it around for signatures for sure. I think it ties in nicely to what we've been talking about. What is the most memorable party you've ever been to?
The most recent one is for my maternal grandmother, who I went to see back in the Philippines 6 months ago, because she essentially was the first person amongst her siblings to turn 80 years old. Like all of her other siblings died before 80 years old. And she managed to live to that age. They did like a big party at a banquet hall, and it was much bigger than I expected because normally with parties in the Philippines, you know, you have it in your backyard or whatever if you're rich enough to have a large backyard for an event space or whatever. But we went to a banquet hall, and I think about 100 people came.
Wow.
And there was also an MC with a soundboard. So that was pretty wild. And then people went up to say stuff to pay tribute to my grandma because she's a very important and influential person in the community.
Aww.
And very cherished by her friends. And then the other thing that made it memorable was me and my cousins. We had to go up and say something, which is not what I was expecting. I knew that I had to dress up for the occasion, and I knew that we would be taking pictures and doing all of that stuff. But the MC came to our table while we were eating, and he was like, "So you're going to say something to your grandmother in a couple of minutes." And we were all like, what? Like we had not prepared anything. And we ended up drawing lots for the person who was going to go up and say something. And of course, with my luck, I was the person that ended up drawing the lot to go up and speak. And I was like, this is fine. I'll just improvise something.
Yeah.
I did improv in the last year.
There you go.
I can come up with something.
You've been training for this exact moment.
Exactly. And I just sort of went up there. I said a lot of ums and uhs, but I ended up speaking from the heart. And it's very emotional, conveying your love for a person who lives across the world from you and who you rarely ever see. But then, as another testament to my luck, everybody else in the line, all of my other cousins ended up saying something anyways. So I went up first, and then I ended up passing the mic down, and other people ended up saying stuff too. So
I think that's probably for the best. Like, your luck made you break the ice for everybody else. But I think it would, I think it probably was the best tribute to your grandma to have everybody say their own thing rather than your cousins getting away with a ditto off stage, you know?
So true. I don't know. It was a little awkward for me just because even though I am Filipino, I don't speak Tagalog. So my entire speech was in English. And I was saying to my parents after the party was over, it's like, do you think everybody understood what was going on? And they were like, yeah, I think everybody understood. So in any case, like all of my other cousins ended up speaking in English at some point anyways. So
Yeah.
it's fine. It's probably fine.
There was nobody, obviously, that was offended by you only speaking English in your speech. And if they didn't get it, like, I'm sure the looks on everybody else's faces conveyed what you were saying anyway. And your grandma understood what you were saying, and that's what's important.
Yeah, absolutely. It was funny too, just because there was a soundboard during your speech, they played sentimental music and there's like sound effects if you say something funny, which was really interesting for me to experience.
I just imagine you saying something really heartfelt and the DJ going, fur, 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 fur.
Yeah, like that's literally what would happen. So
Oh my God.
it's really comedic and funny. So
I aspire to be like your grandma when I am 80. That's incredible to have.
I think you will.
You think so?
Based off of the stories I've heard, of course, I think that will happen.
Okay.
We'll throw a banquet hall party for you.
Aw.
It's like, Merete, hooray.
Thanks.
Yeah. And we'll all go up and improvise a speech.
I look forward to it. Start your Sim storyboard for how that's going to go.
Absolutely. I'll make a Canva whiteboard.
Great.
Not sponsored.
Hashtag not sponsored every episode now.
Of course.
I think you may have already covered this with the last question. Could you briefly describe a party you've been to that relates to this season's theme or to your episode story overall?
Yeah, I guess I kind of answered it in the last question just because I think that was the biggest party that I've been to in a while, or at least something that was so elaborate that directly celebrated familial lineage in a way. I don't know. I feel like because my family are made up of immigrants and we live very far away from other family members who live literally across the world, it makes it really hard to have those kinds of celebrations and have them be as big as they would be. But I'm always happy to even gather with my nuclear family and celebrate something. And I like eating good food.
Same here.
Yeah, that's usually a big part of get-togethers and stuff like that. Food is a love language.
Are you ever responsible for bringing any of the food or making any of the food for the get-togethers, or are you just a consumer of the food? I shouldn't say just. Are you privileged to be a consumer of the food?
I feel privileged to be a consumer because usually when I go to a party, I get to eat really well.
Yeah.
But if I'm bringing something, because I became very famous amongst my family for baking a lot during the pandemic, as I'm sure a lot of other people will attest to, I usually bring dessert. I remember during the pandemic for my uncle's birthday, the uncle that lives next door to my childhood home, I made a cheesecake based off of the Cheesecake Factory recipe. So I made like a big cheesecake and I decorated it with the jammy strawberries and whipped cream, and I decorated it. And I like baking. I like doing the cake decorating thing, even if I only get to do it a couple of times a year. It's something that I enjoy.
So you're on desserts committee. All right.
Yeah.
I love that. But something that's bittersweet is that we are at the end of our episode here, Jada.
No.
It has been a pleasure chatting with you. But before we go, could you please tell the people what you're promoting or celebrating right now?
Well, I am celebrating the release of Monster F***er on Theme Party.
Yay!
That's gonna get bleeped.
Yay! So many bleeps this episode.
Yeah. Other places you can find me. I write a Substack. Wow. Yeah. My Substack is retrospective, but without the I. So it's retrospective, I guess.
We can link it in the show notes.
And I usually write about monthly media or the media that I'm really excited about. And yeah, you can read about all my artistic opinions on the internet. I think that's it.
All right.
I'm excited for the next season of Theme Party. Wow.
Me too. I'll talk about it a little bit later, but I'm excited to have you back writing another episode for season 2.
Yay. I'm excited too. We're going to trauma dump again. Hooray.
Yay, trauma dumping. Get it all out. Did you have any other socials that you want to throw out there where people can find you, or do you only want to be found on Substack?
Generally, I'm trying to cut down on my social media usage. I don't really use social media that much anymore. But on Blue Sky, I'm retrospective, the same thing without the I. On Tumblr, I'm also retrospective, the same thing without the I.
Good job getting that cross-platform handle.
Yeah, but on Instagram, my handle is JDMNDZ with 2 underscores, and you could follow me there. I don't really use it, but sometimes I post on my Instagram story if I have something to promote, like Substack or Theme Party or anything Lengthy Tangent related.
Heck yeah.
Yay!
Well, all that just leaves me to thank Jada for coming to my theme party. Thank you also to Bad Machine for making our show's music, and to Alyssa Esteban for our show art and for story development. Another huge thank you to Jada and everyone else involved in making Monster F***er. If you want to learn more about the episode and all of our shows, you can visit our website, lengthytangent.com. We've also got a Patreon page for everything from Lengthy Tangent, so pop on over there to see what we've got to offer. Be sure to follow us on social media, subscribe so you don't miss an episode, and rate and review if you've enjoyed the show. This is our final episode of Season 1 of Theme Party the Podcast. We're already in production for Season 2, as Jade and I have discussed, so be sure to watch for updates. The theme for Season 2 is going to be The Stranger. So we've got some great stories getting cooked up for that already, and I will let you know when they are going to come out. We don't have a release date just yet. Once again, our theme for this season has been Family Traditions. I've been Merete Mohs, and this has been an interview episode of Theme Party the Podcast. Celebrate creativity.
Oh man, that's a long one.
We'll just edit that part out.
Lengthy tangent.